What's going on, Knicks Nation? For your impromptu live stream on this Wednesday afternoon. Wait for you guys to trickle in here. The New York Knicks play a basketball game today, guys. They play against the Philadelphia 76ers. Got a bunch of injury updates to talk about. Mitchell Robinson news, rumors, all that good stuff. Have a poll in the chat, but I really just wanted to talk about mid-season grades. Look, mid-season. We are at the midway point of this season, believe it or not. It's crazy. Like, the Knicks have played 41 games this year. Still can't believe it, by the way. They've played 41 games this year, and got a poll in the chat just to give, I said, grade the Knicks through the first half of the season. You can pick A, B, C, D. If you pick D, please explain why. Come join me here in the chat. Nostalgic Nick, what's going on, man? Appreciate you in the chat on this impromptu live stream. Just wait for more people to come in here. I know it's I was supposed to do a podcast with LV Live today, but you know, schedules didn't line up. LV is feeling under the weather, so give your well wishes to LV Live. So I decided to come on here by myself for about 45 minutes and chop it up with you guys, talking some Knicks. So let's do it. Let me just raise my volume a little bit. All right, guys. So the Knicks finished the first half of the season 26-15, right? So coming off a bad loss against the Detroit Pistons. But you really have to figure out, how do you want to grade this Knicks team? How do you want to honestly just look at the first half with the bad individual losses, or do you want to kind of zoom out and take a look at the bigger picture, which Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart have talked about, and just kind of look at things in a wider lens? So the Knicks finished the first half 26-15. They are ahead of where they were at last season at this point. So it all depends on how you want to look at it. Me personally, look, they're 26-15. This Knicks team essentially pushed all their eggs in one basket, right? They pushed all their eggs in one basket, trading for Karl Anthony Towns, trading for Mikal Bridges, all of that, all of those picks for Mikal Bridges. And they're 11 games over 500. They are third in the Eastern Conference. We'll go over everything. Got a game tonight again, a big game. I think Embiid has been out. Maxey was out yesterday. George was out yesterday. But you know they're going to play tonight. But I think where this Knicks team is at, I kind of figured and thought they would be at this point this time of year. 11 gave over 500, third in the Eastern Conference. Look, if you were to tell me when the season started, this Knicks team would be 11 games over 500, they would have a bunch of games at home in MSG in the month of January, and they are third in the Eastern Conference. If you were to tell any Knicks fan that, they'd be like, hey, okay, sign me up. That's not bad. That's not terrible. That's not bad. That's not terrible. But, of course, I do post games. You guys join me doing post games. Tony, what's going on? Tony says C+ for me, considering lack of bench defense and still incorporating new pieces to the starting five. They've had some bad losses. They've had some good wins. Their schedule has been fairly light. It has toughened up here these past couple of weeks in the month of January. But I think where they're at right now If I were to grade them, if I were to give them an A, B, C, or D, I would give them a B minus. I would give them a B minus, right? Despite Cat coming in a day before training camp started. Mikal Bridges' new situation went from being the man in Brooklyn to being the third guy in New York. You still don't have Mitchell Robinson, and he's talking. I got a graphic that I'll show you guys in a bit, but he's saying this is what he said. I'll just show you guys really quick. This is what Mitchell Robinson said. Just put this on the screen really quick. He said, "I'm not gonna say what I want to say." This was in response to a Knicks Fan TV graphic that Mitchell Robinson responded to. That the Knicks are interested in Jonas Valanciunas is a name to keep an eye on if the Knicks elect to move on from Robinson. And Mitchell Robinson should be back sometime in the month of February. And Mitch says, "I'm not going to say what I want to say, but all is love." Okay, Mitch, I just can't wait to have you back. So you still don't have Mitch. You're 11 games over 500. You're third in the Eastern Conference. If you were to tell a Knicks fan that before the season started, I think 80% of you guys would have been like, okay, sign me up. But the thing is, we got to watch these games. We got to see how it looks, right? And appreciate you guys joining me for this impromptu live stream, by the way. I really do. Game tonight, big game. You got to see how it looks. So this past couple of weeks, guys, it hasn't looked good, right? It hasn't looked good. You got a bad loss versus Orlando. You lost twice to the Oklahoma City Thunder. You've lost to the Detroit Pistons now. That's 2 times in MSG. And it's about the way the Knicks lost that game, which kind of got me upset. And that's why I was upset during the post game. They kind of got punked in that game. I know Owen Anunoby was going back and forth with them, with Stewart, Isaiah Stewart, flashing his jersey in Brunson's face. It seems to be a trend now, by the way. Teams coming into MSG, like, thinking they can punk the Knicks. Either way, you don't like that loss. Pistons, upcoming team, Pistons are good. They're going to be a playoff team. But at the end of the day, this Knicks team, if they want to be a championship team, if they want to get past 2 rounds in the playoffs, in my opinion, and Pistons fans were coming after me, but you got to beat the Pistons at home, right? You got to. So I would give them a B minus, but I really want to see what it looks like with Mitchell Robinson coming back. I really do. Cat, just go down their starting 5. Cat is having a great year. He's going to be an all-star starter for the first time in his career, right? JB is having a great year. His assist numbers are up. Josh Hart is having a career season. That's 3 people in the starting 5 that are having great years, right? And I know we should have about 4 more wins on our docket. Tough losses early on in the season. But Deuce has been out, right? Has been inconsistent. Hasn't really been that scoring punch off the bench consistently, at least. So Precious has been inconsistent. Payne has started to pick it up here. So when it's all said and done, when you kind of look back at this first half of the season, and I know I'm going long-winded here, but I would give them a B minus. Like I said, if you were to ask anyone before the season, where do you think this Knicks team would be at in the halfway point? They would be like top 3 in the Eastern Conference, and that's where they are. I think they have the 5th best record in the NBA right now. The guys are playing a lot of minutes, though. Mikal's still top of the top. He's still playing a lot of minutes, Mikal Bridges. So I would personally give them a B minus in this first half of the season. But look, this schedule coming up, right? You got Philly tonight, and they haven't looked great at all. Like the Knicks haven't. They're giving up. I tweeted on the Knicks Nation page. You got people shooting lights out against this Knicks team lately from 3. Kobe White, Aaron Wiggins. Let me just go down the list here. All right, so Aaron Wiggins, 4, 6, and 3 in the month of January. Kobe White, 9 of 11. Isaiah Joe, 8 of 11. Malik Beasley, 6 of 8. So defense, especially three-point defense, the bad rotations have been a problem. But Brunson has said it on the Roommates pod. Josh Hart has said it that the losses hurt in the moment. They do. But tonight, man, go out there and win. Go out there and beat Philly and get back on track. All right. See you guys in the chat. Appreciate every single one of you. Once again, impromptu live stream. Knicks got a game tonight versus the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll go over that game. Just wanted to talk about Knicks midseason grade. I didn't really get a chance to talk about it. Knicks had a game on Sunday. We didn't get a chance to do a podcast on Sunday. Supposed to do a podcast this afternoon. LV Live is feeling under the weather. Decided to come on here and chop it up with you guys. Solo. And solo. Again, how about that? Tony says, you do not trade Mitch for Jonas. I'm sorry. Jonas is old. Tony's talking about the Mitch trade rumors for Jonas Valanciunas. And remember after that game, Tony, I said Jonas Valanciunas. Knicks have been interested in him. And he could score. Defense, questionable. He's older. But you need to be on the floor. And that's one thing that this Knicks team is probably looking at. But, yeah, the upside of Mitch, obviously, you hold on to that. But on the other side of the spectrum, it's like you got all this upside, but what good is it if you're on the bench? You know? So this Knicks front office will be scouring the market. They will be. And it's going to be interesting. Less than a month, trading deadline. Dis Rover, what's going on, Dis Rover? I said it on Blue Sky. I think a few cats from East New York should have pulled up on Beasley and Stewart and informed them why they should write a formal apology for all that chest dumping. Look, you come into MSG, you win, do what you want. A lot of Knicks fans want somebody to be the enforcer. You got Trae Young coming in here, rolling the dice. You think teams don't see that? You think opponents don't see that? Like, Trae Young rolling the dice, nothing happening, right? Opponents, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, they think they can come into MSG and punk the Knicks. And it happened versus the Detroit Pistons. And look, Pistons, they're below us in the standings, but I think that's a trend here, and somebody got to lay someone out, in my opinion. Bring back the 90s. Come on now. Tony says, I feel Mitch is nowhere near healthy, and I feel come next month they're going to say he's out for the year. Hopefully I'm wrong. Tony, don't say that. Don't say that. Yuri, what's going on, Yuri? Wins and losses happens every time at home. Nostalgic says, feed the cat. Feed the cat, man. Amanda says, those close losses at the beginning of the season have not been made up because we're still losing to those teams. Amanda, what's going on? Hope all is well. The Knicks, I think they are, 0-6 against contending teams in the Eastern Conference, if I'm not mistaken, 0-5. They don't really have a good record against teams above 500, and they're beating up against bad teams. Right? So when fans look at that, that is a cause for concern. But I'm just happy they beat up on those bad teams because, God forbid, like, imagine if they didn't. Imagine if that 9-game winning streak didn't happen. So every win counts the same. A win is a win. No matter if you win by 40, or no matter if you win by 2 against the Charlotte Hornets like they did a couple months ago. So, but what you want to see is trends, right? You want to see the Knicks fixing their trends. You want to see their Knicks fixing their habits. Bad habits. And that's what we've been seeing lately. Bad habits. And I think they could snap out of it. And obviously there's a lot to point at. I mean, I've heard it all. I've heard guys are playing too much. So in essence, yes, they're leading the league in minutes. Guys are playing too much. So in crunch time, teams that go to their bench, teams that rest their players throughout the game and go 10 deep, 9, 10 deep, sometimes 11. Their star players are fresher in the fourth quarter, and that's what you saw versus the Detroit Pistons, where the Knicks just unraveled, right? Just unraveled. K got rest and was good in the fourth quarter. Sasser came in and did his job. So that is an issue where I agree with, especially Tom Thibodeau's rotations. I don't like them at all. I don't like his rotation patterns. I know he's working with not many good players on the bench. Shamet hasn't hit a three. I mean, his shoulders, he's coming off a major shoulder injury, right? So obviously you have the argument of Hukporti, Kolek, Daddier, but they're playing in the G League right now, and right now it's the fourth quarter's crunch time that's really killing this team, and you can point to tired legs with that. And last thing we need is another questionable big defender. He's talking about Valanciunas. Other teams have longer players overall. I don't know if one older dude will fix it all. Val is a bruiser. We need a bench. Salute, Kev. Appreciate you rocking with me on this Wednesday afternoon impromptu live stream. Yuri, no Discord calls today. Tonight I'll do a Discord calls. Wow, I'll say that 5 times. We need a center so everyone can go to their respectable roles. OG and Karl-Anthony Towns and Josh Hart. I tweeted on the Knicks Nation X account, at Knicks Nation, by the way, that I truly do think when Mitchell Robinson, hopefully when he comes back, if this, they've lost 5 out of the last 7 games, I think, this Knicks team. If anything has come out of this, in my opinion, these losses, is that, once again, this is my opinion, I think when Mitchell Robinson comes back, I think you got to start him. I do. Now, hear me out. I think you got to start Mitch, and you got to put Josh Hart on the bench. And Hart has been in the media talking about guys have to, not have any egos and not have any personal agendas. So Hart would be open to going to the bench. And I know that sounds crazy before you come after me, putting Josh Hart on the bench, who's currently having a career season, right? But I think the bench needs Josh Hart. I think this bench team really needs Josh Hart. They need a stabilizer on that bench. And I think when Mitch comes back, I think you got to start him. And I know people would say, what about the 5-out offense? What about this great Knicks offense? We're still going to be great. You still got 4 guys in that offense that could put the ball in the basket. And you got Mitch, who's a lob threat. So, just my opinion, I just want that bench unit to get a boost. Obviously, it depends on if the Knicks trade for somebody come trading deadline or if they stay pat. But I think you got to start him, man. I think you got to start Mitch. I think Josh Hart has to go back to the bench. And again, it sounds crazy, right? He's having a great year. Like, I don't look at it as like a demotion. I don't. Because Hart is still going to play 30, 35 minutes a game. He's still going to be in closing lineups. Tom Thibodeau is still going to mix and match his lineups throughout the game. But when Josh Hart was traded here, he was amazing off the bench. He's amazing in any role, which is the beauty of Josh Hart, right? And he's quickly becoming one of my favorite Knicks of all time, by the way. Just the way he plays, his attitude. He's the one guy who I look at, and if you want some quotes from the locker room, it's from Josh. Yeah, listen to Josh Hart. Because when he's pissed off, he talks his mind, man. He's not afraid. Not afraid. So that ego comment, the personal agenda comment that Josh Hart said last week? Ian Begley came out, I think yesterday, saying that some people in the front office think that he was talking about somebody. And he was. A lot of people have been pointing to OG Anunoby that's the guy who he was talking about. You don't really want riffraff in the locker room, on January 15th, but still. Tony says, I would trade McBride, Mitch, and a second-round pick for Trey Murphy. That dude is consistent and definitely what we need off the bench. Look, Knicks are in the first apron, man. They're going to have to honestly work their magic. They're going to have to work their magic. Leon Rose in the front office. Hart is a bench player. Josh Hart for the bench is key. Yuri says, wouldn't Mikal make sense for the bench? Yuri, I really want Hart on the bench. I don't really want Hart on the bench, but I think Hart makes more sense on the bench than Mikal Bridges because Mikal is a jack, mid-range, corner threes. I think you still need that in the starting five, especially when Brunson is attacking the paint, attacking the lane. You need OG and Mikal to kind of solidify those corners. And obviously you have Cat playing the four. So I think Hart is like our junkyard dog off the bench. I think the Knicks need that. This Knicks team needs that. And sometimes subtracting from this great starting five and plugging someone on the bench. This is when Mitch comes back, by the way. I even thought about it like now, but it's not going to happen now. But we'll just have to wait and see. Missed to start with Cat. Hukporty back up big. Dibs make the adjustment and things get turned around quick. Roland says Mitchell Robinson won't be back until next season. Roland, what's going on? I appreciate you in the chat. Until Mitchell Robinson is back, right? It's something. I understand your frustration, but all signs are pointing to him coming back next month. Those are from respectable reporters. And Mitchell Robinson is looking good, looking lean, and we just have to hope for the best. I want to see Kolek on the floor with Towns and Bridges. I think the media is reading too much into that about the egos. They did have a team meeting about egos from what I heard. You got sources? You got sources. Hart needs to, nostalgic. Hart needs to shut up and play better from nostalgic Nick. Hart needs to play better. Nostalgic. Hart is the one that's a magnet ball when it comes to rebounding. Offensive rebounding, he's elite. He can guard anybody. OKC game when the Knicks got smacked, Josh Hart was the only one just balling out. Plays with hustle every single possession. Heart and soul, literally. So, and he's having a career year from three. Nostalgic. So, I disagree. Jay Terrence, what's going on? Salute. We're not going to need Deuce much longer if he continues to struggle to put up 10 points a game. This Rover, what's going on? Yeah, look, a lot of people have been talking about, Shamit and, Payne, and for good reason, and Precious. But I know Deuce has been battling injuries, right? Deuce has been battling injuries all season long. And that first game versus Boston, right? We were like, wow, Deuce McBride is going to have a career season. Remember that first game versus the Boston Celtics when Deuce came out and was the best Knick player on the court? And everyone was like, oh, if we get this off the bench consistently, look out, man. What bench? Deuce is the guy. Then he's been dealing with injuries, knee, hamstring, and he just hasn't looked, it just hasn't looked like Deuce. You know what I mean? He hasn't improved. And injuries will clearly play a part in that. But look, it's a valid point. Leo says, what more can Hart do? He's the only one playing hard some night. Everyone coming after this. Everyone is coming after Nostalgic in the chat. Nostalgic, appreciate you in here supporting, man. But Hart is literally the guy that's. Every team needs a Josh Hart on their team. honestly. And obviously, as a Knick, he's been better than advertised and just simply incredible. But Deuce has been disappointing this season, but we all given him benefit of the doubt with his injury. Yeah, look, sometimes that's the answer, Jaden. You know, knee injury and hamstring injuries. And Deuce has dealt with injuries like that since he played football in college. Anytime you deal with lower body injuries, that's tough, man. It limits your lift, limits everything. So hopefully we can get a healthy version of Deuce, and just hopefully time will heal him. And like I said, if Mitch comes back, this is what I want to do. I need to see Mitch in a starting five. That makes your defense better. That pushes OG Anunoby to the 3. OG Anunoby is not known for his rebounding. Your rebounding improves. Your defense improves. Do you take a step back in terms of offense a little bit? Yeah. But I think this Knicks team needs an enforcer like Mitch in the starting five with Cat to help him out. I do. And obviously, when we get matched up with Boston, you can play the matchups like that. In a 7-game series, you can play the matchups. But I do. Knicks got a game tonight, guys, against the Philadelphia 76ers. Still waiting on the status updates with Karl-Anthony Towns, who is questionable with a sprained thumb. So it is sprained. It is not broke. So we love to see that. Tyrese Maxey was out yesterday. Paul George was out yesterday. Joel Embiid was out yesterday for the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Kyle Lowry was out yesterday. Drummond, I think, was. They're out a lot of guys, right? And it would be typical for all of them to return tonight. Typical. Embiid made his return early in the season versus the Knicks. We didn't play Maxey, so we just have to wait and see the status of those guys, right? But this is a game you got to win. This is a game you should win. But the way this Knicks team is playing right now, I don't know what team shows up. I don't. Knicks leading in all major categories, right? Points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. Knicks score more points in the paint. Knicks get more second chance points. Knicks, they're a better fast break team than the Philadelphia 76ers. I honestly think when they're healthy, I think the Knicks still are the better team than Philadelphia. They match up well. Slower paced team Philadelphia is, but the injury report is key, right? Look, like I said, Cat is questionable. I think JB is probable, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, you looked at this schedule, right? They probably took the train down there to Philadelphia. But it's a game where I think you got to attack them right from the jump. And it's so hard to judge because I don't know who's playing for them. But let's say Maxey plays and Paul George plays. Well, you saw Paul George early on in the season and you didn't see Maxey. You've already really know what to do with Tyrese Maxey. Whether you put Mikal Bridges on Maxey, OG Anunoby, those guys can rotate. But like we saw last game, the rotations were bad. Mikal Bridges was a good one-on-one defender with Cade last game. But when they started doing pick and rolls and switching, and it confused the Knicks. So just watch out for that. But Knicks going back home, Josh Hart, Brunson, Villanova guys, Mikal, obviously they play well in this arena. But you're coming off a bad loss versus the Detroit Pistons. And I honestly think this Knicks team should beat the Philadelphia 76ers because I don't even want to say it, but if you don't, it's going to just keep compiling all the bad juju that that's been following you around. Your 3-point percentage, has been hot and cold lately. Your 3-point defense hasn't been great. The role players have been killing you lately. So, you just got to watch their bench. You got to watch Caleb. You got to watch Martin, who's also been playing well for them. But the last time we played them in November, we smoked them. McBride played well off the bench. Cat played amazing, right? Remember that game where he almost had a triple-double, 6 assists? It is a team effort. Hart with a triple-double. I think that was his first triple-double of the season. Jericho got in the game. This was without Precious Achiuwa. So I think you should win. I think you need to win to kind of ease the mind of Knicks fans. Ease the minds of Knicks fans. All right. Tony says we better not lose tonight. And they better not go 3 of 30 from 3 tonight. Yeah, man, they better not. Mitch coming back in early February. Shamit is an energetic defender, but right now he can't hit a shot and affects our bench heavily. Yeah, it does. It does. And the thing that stinks is Payne has been playing well here lately. Tom Thibodeau didn't go to him in the third quarter versus Detroit. So hopefully, Thibs can get his rotations really set. And it's like every other game, it's a switch up regarding his rotations. But Tony says, I want to see Kolek play an entire game, and I will guarantee you he will shock us and rest Brunson and Cat and let these rookies get their confidence. Tony, look, if you're healthy, you're going to play, right, Tony? So they're playing in the G League a lot. They're developing, and that's what Tom Thibodeau is probably saying to their front office. They're developing behind the scenes. Porty's developing. I know you want to see them. I want to see them. But Payne, I thought, was going to get leapfrogged by Huck Porty. And then Payne had a great game. And you're like, okay, let's get Payne back on track. So now Precious is the one who's kind of, still got to improve the bench. But trading deadline is going to be interesting. It really is. Sims and a second-round pick to Miami for Alec Burks. King John, 1985. What's going on? Appreciate you in the chat. I saw this, and I thought to myself, why? Alec Burks, third trip around the sun with the New York Knicks. Love the player, love the person. But I don't know. I think Burks is 6'6", so he's not like he's small. Doesn't really play great defense. But in my opinion, I would try to do something else. I know Sims's value right now is kind of like, what is Sims's value? It's really nothing. So it's going to be hard to get something. You heard Cam Whitmore's name be in trade rumors, like Sims and Daddier for Cam Whitmore. I don't know if you really want to give up on Daddier. Young kid, 19, still raw. Cam Whitmore doesn't really get playing time in Houston. That's a name that intrigues me a little bit. Dealt with injuries. But Sims has been in trade rumors. And I don't think you need a Burks. Huckamania runs wild. Yuri says, I'm sorry these guys get paid to play basketball. We should be happy they are even playing. Jaden, one of our main problems is us playing small bigs and other teams taking advantage of that. We get killed because our tallest out there when Cat is sitting is 6'8". Yuri. That's why, this Knicks team is rarely banking on Mitch. If you're not going to play Huck Porty, and look, you're half a season down. Is he going to play Huck Porty at this point? I don't know. I think they're really just banking on Mitchell Robinson coming back and being healthy. Because a healthy Mitch will help. It will. But the risk is he comes back, he's not healthy, God forbid, hurts his ankle again, then what? That's why Valanciunas' name has popped up. But first apron team, man, they got to match contract for contract, so it's going to be hard for them to even obtain a valued piece on that bench, which is why I've been saying, are you trading Deuce? Are you trading Precious? You're just subtracting from that bench if you're doing that. Which goes back to my Josh Hart point. When Mitch comes back, you put Hart off the bench, and there's your bench acquisition, right? And that helps out everyone. But they have to get creative here, and it wouldn't shock me if they don't even do anything come trading deadline, simply due to the apron rules. But we shall see. We shall see. Alec Burks can stay in Miami. He's not doing anything for us. Look, I remember in the playoffs, Burks came in and he had that game in Indiana after us Knicks fans were yelling at the TV like, why don't you play Alec Burks, Dibs? Why don't you play Burks? Everyone is hurt. Anunoby's hurt. You got to play Alec Burks. Dibs finally pulled the trigger and went to Burks, and he played well. So he's a veteran. He could do that. He could shoot. But the thing is, I would like that with a healthy Mitch. So you have another scoring option off the bench. I would. But depends what Miami does. They're still dealing with Jimmy Butler. They still got that situation to deal with. So Jaden says the front office doesn't trust these rookies as well. I can't see the front office just watching Thibs not play the guys and not saying something if they aren't any concerns about them. Leon Rose and Tom Thibodeau are like this, man. They're extremely close. They're extremely close. So it's going to be something that is going to be on the minds of a lot of Knicks fans, but they're close. And I know they have conversations. They do. I know they talk every day. I know Thibs watches the G League. Thibs watches all of the highlights, and they study. And the conclusion that they come with is the guys aren't ready. That's the conclusion. But in my opinion, when I look at Huck Porty play, he looks ready. He does more good than bad, Ariel Huck Porty. It seems like he's leapfrogged Jericho Sims in a rotation. But the problem is the rotation is Huck Porty's not playing. It's like a depth chart like I talked about. Does more good than bad, but your coach just doesn't go to him. Doesn't go to him. All right, let's get to this Mitchell. Let's talk about this Mitchell Robinson thing. So Mitchell Robinson talked about, this is from Mitchell Robinson. I'm not going to say what I want to say. Mitchell Robinson responding to a Knicks Fan TV graphic. And this was the response. We talked about it a little bit earlier. So this was the graphic. The Knicks hold solid belief that Mitchell Robinson will return to the court around early February. Jonas Valanciunas is a name to keep an eye on if the Knicks elect to move on from Mitchell Robinson. And then Mitchell Robinson commented on that post. And he said, I'm not going to say what I want to say, but all love. I posted this on the Knicks Nation Instagram. Those of you on Instagram, if you want to give me a follow, it's at Knicks Nation. Simple. At Knicks Nation on Instagram. You guys can give me a follow over there as well. Here are some of the comments I got below my post. From this picture, by the way. Not the picture I have up. From this picture. When Mitchell Robinson says, I'm not going to say what I want to say. Here are some of the comments I got underneath that post. And you guys can check it out at Knicks Nation. Somebody said, this is his last chance, in my opinion. Somebody else says, we don't care what you have to say. Knicks fans, man. I love you guys. Somebody else says, I know he's injury prone, but if he's healthy, he's exactly what we need. So I think this is his last chance, in my opinion, is valid. Because let's say he comes back and we're dealing with the same thing, injury, and everyone's frustrated. Comes back, and God forbid he goes down again. Knock on wood, you don't want that to happen. I think he's done. I think he's done. Like, that's it. It's now back-to-back seasons, and you're dealing with this forever. Now you can't count on him. You can't. But then somebody else commented, I know he's injury prone, but if he's healthy, he's exactly what we need. And then somebody else said, I want Mitch back, period. Somebody else said, bye-bye. And then somebody says, as a Knicks fan, Mitch, you can get the F on. You good when you on the floor. The only problem is you never on the floor, bruh. You've been consistently unhealthy for too long. It's time for you to go button. Mitchell Robinson is one of those players that you talk about him. I see you guys in the chat. Nostalgia says that means he's done. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's done. This Rover says, I'm like 93% sure Mitch is just insinuating he's son's old man, Jonas. I want Mitch to stop with the messages and internet crap. Get healthy and get on the floor. Likewise, man. Likewise. This Rover says, hopefully his weight loss makes him a lot more limber and less injury prone than with that extra weight on him. Here's my opinion. Here's my take. Just get on the floor, man. Just get on the floor. Stop looking at social media. Stop looking at Instagram. Stop going on X. We know you're working out. We know you're doing a lot of things behind the scenes because it's showing up in your physique. Like, you look slim, you look good. But 7-foot big man with leg problems, especially foot problems, it's not a good recipe, right? So when you're on the floor, you're really good. And when you're on the floor with Cat, I think you'll be good too. Because Cat and Gobert had some chemistry as well in Minnesota. So just get on the floor. That's it. I know he's frustrated. I know this is Mitchell Robinson. He likes going back and forth with Knicks fans on Instagram, on X. Heck, probably even on YouTube. But I just want to say to Mitch, just get on the floor and be healthy, man, because like some people said in the comments, like we do need you. Like we do. Like Mitch kind of has a hold over, like, because he knows this Knicks team needs him, right? So, but what does he mean by I'm not going to say what I want to say? Like, what do you want to say, Mitch? What do you want to say? Say it at this point. Just say it. Are you healthy? Can you return? And the Knicks are just like, no, we don't want you to return yet. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to say? So a lot of stuff is coming out of the lock. Like Mitch saying this, Hart with the agenda stuff, the ego stuff. 11 games over 500. Just a lot of stuff is happening. So yeah. Jaden says if Mitch goes down one more time, it's over for him. And to be honest, we'd be lucky to get anybody half decent in return as well. Yeah, Jaden. That's the thing that sucks, right? That's the thing that sucks for Mitchell Robinson. All right, guys. Game tonight. 76ers, Knicks. Got to win. Appreciate you guys joining me. I got something to do in like 20 minutes, so I wish I would go longer. But post-game, I would be on the post-game and just hop on a post-game at the end of the day. So let's go Knicks. Appreciate you guys for joining me. Again, Knicks, Philadelphia. Let's go. I'll see you guys tonight at around 10 o'clock. Hope you guys are there. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Smash the like button. I'm Anthony. I'll catch you guys next time.